You may think that cyberbullying is just a problem for parents and kids at home, but cyberbullying is increasingly becoming a problem for American schools. So today, we'll discuss what cyberbullying is, why schools should care about it, and what schools can and should do about cyberbullying. Let's start with what cyberbullying is. Cyberbullying is simply bullying that takes place using electronic technology. Anything that's posted online intended to hurt or upset someone else is considered cyberbullying. So is behavior that's harassing, threatening, demeaning, or embarrassing. Posting mean comments or sexual remarks, or spreading rumors about another person is considered cyberbullying. It can happen on social media, through instant messaging, chat rooms, email, texting, and mobile devices. It can take a number of forms, including excluding someone from a group chat, harassing someone, posting embarrassing or cruel information, trickery, pretending to be someone else, or posting things deliberately to promote outrage. Cyberbullying is on the rise, partially because access to technology is also increasing. 93% of kids have computers at home, 66% have personal cell phones, and 76% have another multimedia device such as an iPad or tablet. So why should you, as a teacher, care about cyberbullying? Well, 54% of schools report occasional cyberbullying, with only 19% of schools reporting no cyberbullying. 1/3 to 1/2 of kids have been the targets of cyberbullying, with 70% of kids saying that rumors have been spread about them online. The victims of cyberbullying are more likely to suffer from depression and anxiety. They're more likely to engage in self-harm, to skip class, to develop an eating disorder, and to have a problem with alcohol and drug abuse. Cyberbullying victims are twice as likely to attempt suicide. As educators, we should definitely care about cyberbullying. Now, you might be wondering, what can the school do about cyberbullying if it takes place at home on a kid's personal device? Well, courts have ruled that kids do have freedom of expression, but their freedom of expression has limits. Freedom of expression is not allowed if it disrupts learning, it interferes with education or discipline, it uses school technology to harass others, it threatens other students, or it infringes on their civil rights. So if kids are using school technology to cyberbully, it's definitely the school's problem. But even when kids are on their own personal devices, if the cyberbullying affects what's happening at school, if it threatens other students or it infringes on other students' civil rights, then the courts have ruled that schools do have a role to play. Cyberbullying is different from traditional bullying in that kids can't get away from it. Something embarrassing that happens at school could then be used in cyberbullying at home. And the cyberbullying that's taking place in the evening could follow kids into the classroom. As a result, courts have allowed cyberbullying victims to file civil lawsuits against the alleged cyberbullies, parents, and the schools for not stopping or preventing cyberbullying. Let's look a little bit more specifically about what the courts have said about schools disciplining kids at school for off-campus cyberbullying. In JS versus Bethlehem Area School District in 2000, the court ruled that schools can discipline students for off-campus behavior if it disrupts the school environment. And in Kowalski versus Berkeley County Schools in 2001, the court ruled that schools can discipline speech if it collides with the rights of others. However, in Emmett versus Kent School District number 415 in 2000, the courts ruled that schools have to demonstrate a real, credible threat to discipline cyberbullying behavior. And in JS versus Blue Mountain School District in 2011, The court ruled that schools must show a substantial disturbance. So schools are allowed to discipline cyberbullying behavior if they can show a substantial disturbance to the school environment, if the speech interferes with other people's rights, and it demonstrates a real credible threat. This is pretty complicated. So how should schools respond? One step is through policy. Schools should define harassment, intimidation, and bullying. And then they should create graduated consequences. So it shouldn't be a one-size-fits-all policy. Schools should outline procedures for reporting and investigating cyberbullying. And they should stipulate that off-campus behavior can be disciplined if it disrupts the learning environment or it infringes on students' rights. Finally, schools should describe steps for preventing cyberbullying. This includes debunking perceptions of digital behavior. Kids need to understand what's acceptable online behavior and what's not acceptable. Kids need to know that their online comments can follow them forever. Perhaps most importantly, we need to build empathy and understanding. We need to help kids understand that other people have feelings too. We need to teach kids to think about how their comments and their behavior might affect other people. We need to teach online safety and strategies to help kids stand up against cyberbullying. And we need to engage parents in our bullying prevention efforts. When we're thinking about disciplining students for cyberbullying behavior, we really want to focus on guiding students rather than on punishing them. We need to remember that these are kids we're dealing with. Their brains are not fully developed yet, and they may not always understand the consequences of their actions. Kids might not really understand that what they're doing is hurtful and inappropriate. So we want to teach kids what they should do rather than publicly shaming them when they mess up. For this reason, a focus on harsh punishment and zero tolerance policies might actually be counterproductive. It could set up an us versus them environment that might make cyberbullying behavior even more common, or it could drive cyberbullying behavior further underground. Instead, we want to develop a positive school climate where kids know each other, they connect with each other, and they care about each other. We want to create a culture where kids know that it's not acceptable to cyberbully, and then they can help protect one another, and this makes cyberbullying less common. We should teach kids some steps for what to do when cyberbullying does take place. Kids should know that they should report cyberbullying to the school and to their parents. They should collect evidence. They should report cyberbullying to the app, game, or website where it takes place. They should band together with their friends to collectively stand up against cyberbullies and protect one another. They should know not to stay silent when they see cyberbullying or when they're the victim of cyberbullying. They need to tell the bullies to stop. Finally, we need to teach kids to stay safe. We teach kids to avoid dangerous places in the real world. We should teach them to avoid dangerous places online. If you would like to learn more about the problem of cyberbullying and how to prevent it, here are some great resources that you might check out. Technology opens up the world for our students. Kids have opportunities now that they've never had before. As teachers, our job is to show kids the world, but our job is also to keep kids safe in the world.